I feel like we're watching Jurgen Klopp when he first came to the club in the first couple of seasons. That was always a problem. When they'd have the ball, someone would sit deep, someone would counter-attack on them. But I don't know what's happened to Liverpool in terms of midfield, in that Liverpool have not bought a proper midfield player, or have bought one midfield player in 4.5 years, Thiago. So it's coming back to haunt them now. And when I watch Liverpool now, and certainly in midfield, it feels like Jurgen Klopp's team is morphing into something else, a technical team. And the only team that it reminds me of is when I used to play against Arsenal under Arsene Wenger. And yet they were a great footballing team, but their actual pace and physicality teams couldn't cope with. And then that team morphed into something really technical. And it never won again. Now, I don't know if there's an influence from Pep Linders, who's Jurgen Klopp's number 2, has a huge say in what goes on as well. Maybe a Dutch way of thinking, getting players on the ball. I don't know, or thinking Liverpool need to not reinvent themselves, but always keep tweaking things and changing things because maybe people are used to them. But for me, from minute one of Jurgen Klopp's era against Tottenham away, forget the quality of players. People were sprinting all over the pitch, and it just like, whoa, you couldn't not jump out. When I don't see Liverpool now sprinting and closing people down, but they're still playing with this high line, it's like, it's not a Liverpool team. It's not a Jurgen Klopp team, what I'm watching now, and I want to know why, because I can't work it out.
But, Carra, it's worth just travelling back to when that team were playing and they were at the best. What we were all saying, what everyone was saying was there were the moments where they did struggle. In the odd game that they did, they needed someone who could play in midfield, who could put his foot on the ball and be a little bit more composed. That's why Thiago was signed, and we drove it. You know, we were all asking for a more technical Liverpool midfield because it was a running team with Wijnaldum and Henderson.
Hang on. When we're talking about asking for a more technical, Liverpool won the league. Liverpool won the Champions League without Thiago. I'm not having a go at Thiago. He's still one of Liverpool's best players. He was Liverpool's best player Friday. He's Liverpool's best midfield player. What I'm talking about, Thiago for me is not a problem if the other two are full of energy and have got power to stop counter-attacks and stop the opposition. Everyone keeps talking about Jude Bellingham. Liverpool haven't got a problem going forward. It's actually a midfield player to stop the opposition coming right through them. But what I'm talking about is someone like a Harvey Elliott. Carvalho comes in. These are players, when I look at them, great technical players. But in my mind, they don't look like Jurgen Klopp players. And then you've got players like a Fabinho, who's getting older, Jordan Henderson, who hasn't got the energy no more, James Milner. And Liverpool's transfer committee, or the people behind Jurgen Klopp and Jurgen Klopp, who've been bringing the players to the club, have been absolutely lauded more than any scouting network in world football. This is on them. So when you've had the plaudits, to allow a team who almost won 4 trophies last season to end up at a stage where they're fighting for top 4 because midfield now has only had one player signed in 4.5 years and they're absolutely running on fumes.
Why has it not worked for Keita then? You'd think with energy, and he was a driving force before he come. He's one player I thought would fit perfectly into this system.
Well, he hasn't worked for a long time. I mean, he was actually Jurgen Klopp's. When we talk about Virgil van Dijk and Alisson coming in, Keita was actually this big star signing from Germany. You know, spent a lot of money on him, and he's had injuries. But for me, a lot of Liverpool fans like him, but he's not for me. I don't think he's nowhere near good enough. But listen, how it's been allowed to happen, and the fact Liverpool didn't sign a midfield player in the summer, and if Liverpool have signed Gakpo now, if Liverpool think they can get top 4 without signing a midfield player in this window, they've got absolutely no chance.